Welcome to the metal casting and welding for third semester mechanical engineering students. In that module number 3 related to certification and non-ferrous foundry practice, presented by Dr. Muniraju M, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Government Engineering College, Chamarajanagar. In the previous session, we discussed about fettling of castings, sand casting defects, causes, features, and remedies we'll discuss in previous session, and then advantages and disadvantages of castings, non-ferrous foundry practices in that aluminum castings, and then advantages and disadvantages of aluminum castings, melting of aluminum using lift out type crucible type furnace discuss in detail, and then hardeners used in aluminum castings also we'll discuss in the previous session. Now we'll move on to the further. In this session we'll discuss about what do you mean by drossing. In this dross is a mass of solid impurities floating on the surface of low melting point metals such as aluminum, tin, lead, zinc, etc. is a result of oxidation of the molten metal. With reference to aluminum casting, the term drossing is specially used to denote the formation of aluminum oxide and other oxides that collect on the surface of the molten aluminum metal when coming in contact with air. Dross can be minimized when melting is made faster or protecting the molten metal coming in contact with the products of combustion, or it may be atmospheric air. However, even with this formation, the dross product need not be considered a waste material. Instead, can be recycled either mechanically or chemically, and then they can reuse for that. And then oxide separation and removal. In this drossing, using fluxes are designed for chemical means to promote separate of the aluminum oxide Al2O3. This dross layer that forms on the surface of the metal from the molten metal, either solid or chemically active gaseous fluxes thus containing this chlorine, fluorine, chlorides, or it may be fluorides, are used for this purpose. The drossing flux reacts with aluminum oxide in the dross layer by de-wetting of the oxide melt interface to provide effective separation of oxides and others included matter, thereby helping in recovering metal. In mechanical processes, the hot dross is placed into the press that squeezes and separates into aluminum metal, rich particles and aluminum oxide, rich particles based on density. The metal rich particles are then melted in a furnace to remove the remaining oxide particles. And then gas absorption in aluminum castings. Here, hydrogen gas porosity is an aluminum casting defect in the form of porosity or void in an aluminum casting caused by a high level of hydrogen gas dissolved in the aluminum at liquid phase. The solubility of hydrogen in solid aluminum is much smaller than the liquid aluminum. Its solubility varies directly with the temperature and the square root of this pressure. During the cooling and solidification of molten aluminum, dissolved hydrogen in excess of the extremely low solid solubility may precipitate in molecular form, resulting in the formation of primary and secondary voids like pinholes or gas porosity. In this, the raising fluxes and flushing of aluminum melts. In this, flushing of aluminum melts are practiced mainly for two purposes, and then to separate molten aluminum metal from the aluminum oxide dross layer, and then second one is to remove dissolved hydrogen and entrapped dross from the melt. And then in the flushing method, inert gases simply piped from the storage tanks through graphite tubes directly into the liquid metal. The piping the piping of inert gas creates bubbles which move upwards, and the hydrogen gas is dissolved in aluminum melt migrates readily to the bubble where it collects and is flushed from the melt and to the atmosphere. And then dross separation by fluxing is due to mechanical action of the inert gas bubbles carrying oxides to the surface. The fluxing means adding suitable agents in order to achieve the following criteria: to react with dross so that it can float up, to prevent reaction of the melt of aluminum with atmosphere by acting as a barrier, and then to absorb impurities in the melt. These are the main adding the agents in order to achieve these criteria. And then the aluminum alloys in general are melted under flux cover of halide salts. These fluxes contain a salt mixtures that are liquid at normal aluminum melting temperatures. And then typical fluxes are around 47.5% of sodium chloride, and then 47.45 potassium chloride, and then 5% of sodium aluminum fluoride, or it may be 45% sodium chloride and then 45% sodium chloride and then 10% of sodium fluoride. And then grain refinement in aluminum alloys. Grain size in an aluminum alloy refers to the size of individual aluminum crystal in the solidified part. The size of these crystals is directly related to the number of grains, or it may be a nuclei. The nuclei formed during the initial stages of solidification or during pouring of metal. The more number of grains, the finer the grain size, you will get a defectless or sound casting. And then minimizing shrinkage, hot cracking and hydrogen porosity. Also, mechanical properties are greatly enhanced with fine grain structure. The grain size in aluminum alloys can be refined by the following these are the three methods: thermal method, chemical method, and mechanical method. We'll discuss one by one. Uh, in thermal method, in this thermal method, it involves rapid cooling of liquid metal and subsequently variation of the process variables. A fine equated grain structure arises when casting is carried out in cold molds and under low superheating conditions. Next, we'll go for chemical method. This method involves the addition of some elements called grain refiners that promote nucleation and hindering crystal growth. Inoculation is a typical example of this method and is the most common practice by adding Al aluminum TiC or aluminum TiB ternary master alloys to the liquid melt before casting. These particles act as aluminum grains, resulting in a uniformly fine equated grain structure in aluminum castings. And then we'll go for mechanical method. This method involves stirring of the melt during solidification by using ultrasonic or electromagnetic or mechanical stirring methods. Most of the techniques require long processing time and special devices. This method is usually applied to semi-solid metal processing. And then we'll go for pouring temperature. Pouring temperature refers to the temperature of the molten metal before it is poured into the mold. The pouring temperature has to be higher than the solidification temperature of the metal in order to allow the free flow of molten metal into all regions of the mold cavity well before solidification is completed. The difference between the solidification temperature and the pouring temperature of the metal is designated by the term superheat, which is the most important parameter to be considered in melting and pouring operations. For example, we will take aluminum alloy has melting temperature of around 660 degrees centigrade with its corresponding pouring temperatures ranges from 700 degree to 750 degree centigrade. For better end results, it is desired to pour the metal at the lowest possible pouring temperature. And then the pouring temperature is estimated by taking into consideration the various factors like melting and freezing temperature of the metal, heat loss due to transfer of metal through ladles and the mold, the shrinkage behavior of the pouring metal, the thinnest section of the cast pot. You have to consider all these criteria in order to protect the molten metal from losing its heat. It is always covered by exothermic compounds, which are mixtures of metal oxides and aluminum. Next, we'll go for stir casting. Here, foundry practice has led to various technological advances with respect to materials and processes. from which metals can be efficiently and economically cast. Stir casting is one of the advanced liquid cast metal technology in producing aluminum based metal matrix composites by employing stirring principle of the liquid metal. The concept and benefits of stirring or agitation of molten metal goes back to the foundry age where stirring of liquid metal was accomplished by Lance gas injection into the liquid metal. Stirring action within the molten metal helps in easy mixing and melting of alloys as well as homogenizing of temperature throughout the furnace. Although successful to a quite extent, the process suffered from limited effectiveness as well as increased dross formation. However, the concept gave way to a new technologies and today advanced subsurface steering technologies like pneumatic jet steering, electromagnetic approaches and rotary devices have been employed for this steering purpose. And then this is the stir representation of stir casting setup. Here the schematic representation of stir casting process is illustrated in the simplest form. Uh, Here the sketch shows this is the heating coils you can place in the crucible on the sides, and then this is the refractory lining bricks, and then here the coils are placed on both sides, and then molten metal is there, and then this is a stirrer is placed on the middle of this crucible, and then entire process is made with MS plate covered on outer layer, and then this is the argon gas cylinder. In this you have to impinge the argon gases while removing the oxidation. Now removing the gases also, and then the schematic representation of stirring casting process is shown in the sketch, and then the arrangement consists of a furnace inside which this is the furnace and then this is the tapping hole after I can take the molten metal. Okay, and then the arrangement consists of a furnace inside which a graphite or cast iron crucible surrounded by a coil of copper wire is placed. The crucible holds the charge of metal to be melted. Inside the crucible we can place the metal. A powerful alternative current flows through the coils of the wire. These are the coils you can place on both sides, and then here we have to apply current. Current flows through the coil of wire, creating a rapidly reversing magnetic field that penetrates the metal. The magnetic field induces some eddy current and a circular electric current inside the metal by electromagnetic induction, thereby producing some stirring action within the molten metal. Meanwhile, the reinforcements or alloying elements are added to the molten metal and then stirring continuously by means of a stirrer for a short duration to create a vortex that forces the slightly lighter particles in the melt. And then the molten metal is then transferred into the preheated ladle and then poured into mold of the desired shape. Since aluminum reacts rapidly with surrounding oxygen, On inert gas like argon, inert gas, you are using this argon gas in this process. Inert gas like argon gas is used as carrier gas to assist injection of the alloying elements, that means the reinforcements, and pouring the metal in a clean form. This is the simple operation of this stir casting method. In this again you can note an interesting development in stir casting is two-step mixing process. In this process, the aluminum matrix material is heated to above its liquidus temperature so that the metal is totally melted. The melt is then cooled to a temperature below the liquids and solidus points and kept in a semi-solid state. At this stage, the preheated reinforcements or maybe alloying elements for particles are added and mixed. The slurry is again heated to a fully liquid state and mixed thoroughly. This two-step mixing process has been used in fabrication of aluminum castings. And then the advantages of this stir casting. Stirring action within the molten metal helps in easy mixing and melting of alloys as well as homogenizing of temperature throughout the furnace, that leads to produce defectless or sound castings. Stirring action helps in removal of hydrogen gas, and then by using this stirring gas eliminates porosity and then better dimensional control and tolerances in the castings will be produced, and then the clean and sound castings can be obtained. Sound is nothing but a defectless casting. Um, These are the main advantages of stir casting process, and then it's having some drawbacks or disadvantages. Whatever the equipment you are using is a little bit costlier, and then excessive stirring can increase gas pickup, furnace lining wear, and oxidation of alloy. This is the main drawback of this process. And then stirring speed and time has to be monitored approximately, as it has a direct influence on the hardness of the cast metal. Monitoring on inert gas atmosphere is an additional requirement, it is additional burden. Thank you for patience listening. Finally, thank you.